Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Grappling with Life podcast. Today I have with me AbdulMaalik Tailor from Muslim History Tours. I've been a secret admirer of his for quite a while now. Don't look at me like that, bro.
I haven't said nothing.
But I am actually a bit of a history. I'm not going to say buff because that's the wrong word, but I enjoy history. I enjoy it.
That's great to hear.
I really do, yeah. And I think that came from, I hate to start the podcast about myself, but I just want to line it up and then I head it out with you. But so when I hit about 12, 13 years old, so I'm from a North African background. My parents are Algerian, I'm Algerian, yeah. So.
You born in UK?
No, born in Algiers.
Okay, Algiers
yeah,
itself.
Yeah, 1983. So we came over here in 88. So I must have been about, 5 years old at the time? 4 or 5 years old. And we didn't really have many people from our background where I lived. To be honest with you, a lot of Algerians came in the 90s. So I didn't really identify with them. Apart from my own family, didn't really have anyone in my peer group, yeah? Whereas obviously we had a lot of Pakistanis, Bengalis and Sri Lankans, Africans, yeah. And then I've always felt out of place. And then as I grew older, like that's why history really interested me, because what history dictates the makeup of a country, how it is now, right? So for example, in Algeria, as you probably will know, there was loads of immigration in Algeria. Like from the times of you're looking at 3, 4, 5,000 years. Yeah, the makeup, the ethnicity, the makeup of Algeria has changed many times over. Yeah, Arabs being the last kind of full wave of immigration. So I started looking into it, and I remember I had this really embarrassing, interaction with. We went to the British Museum. In primary school, and they had the Moroccan circus there. Yeah.
Okay. So is it Hassanat?
What's that?
Hassanat, the Moroccan acrobat.
Probably
circus.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I don't know what, because I was quite young at the time. Yeah. This is probably when I was 9 years old in primary school. Yeah. And I remember
they were quite famous British circus acrobat, where the main person was Moroccan.
Right.
He actually brought over supposedly about 1,000 Moroccans, and they were employed by the Moroccan circus. Hassanat,
okay.
They were called.
Oh, interesting. Maybe that's what they were. Yeah.
They were also at Jesserton World of Adventures, Alton Towers. They did a tour as well. Quite famous.
So was this in recent times? Yeah, not
up until at least 1990s, late 1990s.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, it's exactly. Roughly, we're looking at what. Late, maybe 93, 92, 93, something like that. And so then this woman come out, she was a belly dancer, bruv. Yeah? So we were in a circle, and then she goes, is anyone here like Moroccan? Yeah, you can tell why I have beef with Moroccans now, innit? I'm joking. And everyone's pointing at me. And I'm like, I'm not Moroccan, I'm Algerian, innit? But like, obviously I speak Arab. She came up to me, yeah, and she goes, come and dance with me. And I was like, hell no. Hell no. She was dragging me, and I was like running away. She's dragging me in, and then after that, it really made me think, yeah, okay, like I don't even know anything about my own history. Like my dad obviously would tell us stuff, and we have that connection with the country, yeah. And in the 90s, there was a civil war. So that was really what was being talked about at the time. And then before that was the French occupation, exactly. So anyway, like as I hit my teens, I started reading history, and I was very interested in more Spain. And that's kind of like where my interest, and then I got really interested in Black history and then Malcolm X, and do you remember Abdul Hakim Quick?
Yes.
Remember those series of DVDs called Islamic History, I think?
Deeper Roots.
Deeper Roots. Yeah. I remember watching that, and that blew my mind. And that really made me think, oh my days, we've been fed a massive, not a lie, but we haven't done enough work to kind of really look deeper into our history. So
So therefore, we've been offered another narrative, as they say.
Exactly. So when I saw that you were doing these things, and like when I started work, I was they organized a tour of Brick Lane.
Okay.
And it was a Jewish gentleman that did it. And I remember there was one road in off Brick Lane, which had a Jewish Moroccan architecture.
Yeah, I know that one.
I don't know what the road name is. I think it's, I can't remember.
I can't remember.
It was a market. It's indoor market, right?
It was the Westfield of its day.
Exactly. And then I was like, look at this. This was here the whole time I was there. I didn't even know. So then so after that, I came across your stuff. This is like 2000, I would say 2008.
Okay.
And then I don't know when you started yours. Was it roughly around that time?
We're in
maybe a bit later?
22, so it would have been 2012 at least.
2012, yeah. So I did kind of come across you roughly, and I was like, oh, that's such a good idea, because I remember being fascinated when I was taken around, just because that area is so rich with different, like you said, the Huguenots. There was a lot of Jewish immigration, the Bengali immigration, that whole Battle of Cable Street, and all these different things. And like you walk past it every day. So I guess on that note, that was a very long-winded, I thought, let me line it up for you. What made you decide to kind of start this? You could talk a bit about your background.
I think
that's where we should start from.
It's valid to speak about my background.
100%.
There's a reason how it plays a part in how I actually went into these tours.
Yeah.
As you said, my name's AbdulMaalik Tailor. And obviously my surname signifies that it's an English name, or people assume it's an English name. It's actually a translation of the original Gujarati Hindu name.
Right.
Which the original name was Darji, the one who sews. And that's the caste I used to belong to.
Okay.
And when I converted to Islam when I was 18 years old, and this was in the 90s, I used to wonder, to me it was odd, that the Muslims, after learning about our foundation, the Seerah, the Sahaba, we were rushing to learn about Muslim Spain, Al-Andalus.
Right.
And we were going there to visit. I've never been there.
Yeah.
To this day. If you ask me to talk about it and how Britain was inspired by it, I can do that. But leaving that topic to a side at the moment. So that really intrigued me, that the Muslims from Britain weren't learning about their Islamic history within Britain. I found that quite strange. And that's, if you like, where my initial interest started. That at university, I looked at some of the earliest Muslim established communities in Britain. And that was like the Woking community, where England's first purpose-built mosque was. And this is looking in the late 1880s. And just before then, we had the Abdul Mosque in Liverpool in the same year, 1889. These were the first two established communities, you could say, during the Victorian time. And then from there, when I was doing my research, or just say maybe just reading, I thought, oh, that's a nice footnote. Let me find out about that person. Oh, what happened there? Oh, look, there's that location, or something took place there. It was just one thing after another that led me to that. And, then across at least another 15 years, I amalgamated little bits and pieces of research, and I had a divorce after I was I don't hold back on this. I have to speak openly about this as well. Being a male survivor of domestic violence, and one of the things I used to do to get myself away from my ex, and my kids used to see this as well. I just used to do my reading. And that meant sitting in the front room with the kids, reading books. That's what I would be doing, just to stay away from my ex. And that, in some ways, kind of like increased that passion to take up the reading much more. It was about Muslim history of Britain, in honest, and also then Islam as well in general. So, but as all of us, I think we have one. We always have that speciality we like to look at within Islam. You could say, with me, it was Islamic history of Britain, and what I decided to do then is to start some workshops about Tudors and Muslims, Victorians and Muslims, and Vikings and Muslims, as well as like do a timeline presentation of Islamic history within Britain. But then in a matter of months, I realized, hold on, if I take a bit from here, a bit from there, and add in a bit more, and I choose like central London or the city of London, I could have a guided tour or walking tour, as I saw it then. And I thought to myself, you know what's going on here? If I type in YouTube, Muslim history of Britain, I was getting characters who was, footage of characters of people, of Muslims wanting to behead this person, behead that person, and protest. If I typed Muslim history of America or Muslim history of Australia, I was getting actual, footage and discussions about Muslim history in these localities. So I found that quite strange. And one of the things that kind of pushed me then to start doing this is actually showcasing some of the positive contributions that Muslims have done in Britain. It's not just what the media shows us. Another thing we need to remember is the fact is, unless we want to start presenting our own history, somebody else is going to showcase our own history, which is not true. Or they mix the truth with some falsehood as well. And they give us a narrative, and we take in this narrative basically, and we think it's that right. And as we spoke before the show started, there is vocabulary that we use, terminology that's not been coined by the Muslims, but it's the Muslims themselves who accept it and use it for even 1,000 years. So one example I like to mention is to do with the Islamic world, the Muslim world. It's us guys who use it the most, these terminologies. But in reality, this was actually coined by the Crusaders over 1,000 years ago to signify the Muslims came from a different planet. Where in the galaxy do you find on the Milky Way? Where do you find the Muslim world? Another way to look at it, why is it only the Muslims who have that Islamic world? Right. Do we see the Hindus have it? The Christian world, the Jewish world, the Hindu world, the Buddhist world? No, you will never hear it. You might hear Christian states, yes, but you will never hear the Christian world. So that's a sense of othering. And, when you think about all this othering, what's been said nowadays, it's like, to make that other community, it's belittled. And then, we grow up with this mindset that's different. And then we do grow up with this mindset, or even the non-Muslims, like them and us it becomes. And what you find is like, there is people who talk about decolonization of language. Okay, fine, we accept it. However, let's go before that. Why don't we do crusading of language as well? We don't discuss that. Even if you go to the British Museum, where you were being hooked up to do your belly dancing.
If you clip that, I'm going to kill you. Do you understand?
They have an Islamic gallery there, but they call it the Islamic World Gallery. Yeah, I've raised it with them. And even I spoke to the curator, and she actually objected to that term as well, but she was overruled. But, I've taken groups now, said to people, look, you need to write in, ask them to rephrase this.
So what would you call it?
I would just call it, Islamic Gallery. What's wrong with that?
Right, okay.
Why do you need to call it Islamic World?
So you're saying that, in my understanding, the Crusaders called it the Muslim world. Yeah, because to them I guess it's the opposite of what
we were a foreign enemy who came from a different planet. So if you tell that to your fellow countrymen, as they say, then they're really out for us. They say we weren't even human. We came from a different planet, as they say. Yeah. So that's something they used to have over here. They used to call it the Aliens Act to signify, the foreigners who were coming here, during the Victorian time, we were aliens. So something similar to that, you could say.
So, you said something very interesting about, you said when you Googled, was it
Muslims in Britain?
Muslims in Britain.
Muslim history in Britain, sorry. Yeah. And Muslims in Britain.
I'm guessing you got the unsavory characters that have come out in the news in the last.
And I remember they had placards saying, behead this person, behead that person. Yes. And I had to... I had to really look for positive stories of Muslims, what we've done, contributed to Britain.
I remember, AbdulMaalik, when I had kids, this was something that was so important to me, that I educate them about history, Islamic history, Muslim history. And I remember there was a book called 1001 Inventions.
Yeah.
you remember there was a whole exhibit?
That's right.
I think it was in the Science Museum, right?
It was indeed, yeah.
And it had Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley was the
main character, one of the main characters when it was filmed as well.
Yes. And that for me, as an adult at that time, was the first time I ever saw Islamic history presented in that way, in that arena. Do you see what I'm saying? So, and I remember buying the book for my kids.
Yep.
I remember sitting with them, going through each page. And even me being like intrigued about I even started, remember when we met in Leicester?
Yeah, many years ago.
Yeah. A few years after that, I started a fragrance company.
Okay.
So we used to sell perfume and musks. And when we were coming up with the name, we came up with the name Moore's Fragrances. Okay. Right? So my idea was to connect the two together, right? Because fragrance is a nice smell. And I wanted to connect it with history. So what I did was, we kind of had to knock it on the head because, I don't know, it's complicated. Yeah. But anyway, what happened was I wanted to kind of, like, each fragrance would have like a major Islamic city attached to it. So for example, Babylon or whatever. And then you'd have a little pack with it to give you a history of that area, what's the most significant things that happen in that. So, and I remember one last thing I wanted to add before you carry on was my son came home from school one day and with some homework. And the homework was, if I can remember,
choose a famous Victorian person? Or?
It was something to do with World War II.
Okay.
It was something like make a poster encouraging young men to go to war, to fight against Hitler. Yeah? And I was thinking about that, and I was like, right. It was a sticky situation, yeah. And the reason why I kind of stepped back a little bit, I was like, okay, so he's been asked to do something, but he doesn't identify with anyone because if you look at all the pictures of the soldiers, and it's all English soldiers, right? So I sat down with him. I type in North Africans in World War II, and let's look up the history, because I didn't want him, because I remember like being told go back to where you came from, all that, all that rhetoric, yeah. And then you think to yourself, I didn't want him to feel like he wasn't part, or his ancestors weren't part of this history, and I struggled to do that. I struggled to connect the two. So there was a film actually, a French film called. Zach, see if you can bring it up. It was about a group of Algerian battalion that were recruited from North Africa, and they followed them through the war basically, and how they got treated. It was disgusting, bro. It was absolutely disgusting. They were like by their fellow soldiers.
Days of Glory.
Days of Glory. Have you seen it?
No.
I would recommend you watch it. Obviously it's in French, but it's got subtitles. But it just document, and I made them watch it. I said, watch this, because that's your history too as well. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, coming in what's happening right now with this whole war that's happening in Ukraine, and the way the media has covered the refugees of Ukraine and versus refugees in Europe and all this stuff, And it's important that Muslims in Europe understand that they are European. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, for example, when I went back to Algeria, I've identified with the Algerians there. I felt at home, yes. But there are certain...
They saw you as British.
Yeah. And that wound me up because I was neither Algerian nor was I British.
Yeah.
They call you beurre. You know what beurre means? So I thought beurre in French means butter, yeah? But who was it that explained that to us? Jude. Huh? Jude. No, Jude was like, takes the mic, bro. He takes the mic, calls me. But it's actually, it's like it's the word Arab, but mixed up. It's like if you look, it's like, what's the word when you mix up?
Mixed blood?
No, that's another thing. That's another thing I was going to talk to you about.
What, like muggles?
No, like, you know when you take a word and you mix up the letters? Anagram? Is it anagram? Bro, I'm terrible at these
What,
things.
that's some Da Vinci Code?
Like, for example, if you take my name's Muhammad, yeah? And you'd use those letters to make another word.
Mo.
No, like, forget it, man. You're the worst. But Berg was an anagram. It's an Google what anagram means.
All right.
Google what anagram means. But I'll give you an example. What is a French person, someone who's French, that's born in Africa? Do you know what they call them? Guess. What do they call them? Pieds noirs. Black feet. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even a French person who's born in Africa is called Google pied noir as well, please, bro. Pied noir, Noir.
An anagram is a word or phrase formed by rearranging the letters of a different
So
word.
I was
or
right.
phrase.
Thank you, bro.
It's fine.
Okay, pied noir as well. Pied noir.
PIEDONIR.
Space. Yeah, noir. And again, these words, like you talk about colonization of words and othering and all. I thought Pied Noir meant like someone who is Arab born in France.
Okay.
But it's actually a French person born in Algeria or Morocco.
Yeah, French person born in Algeria before independence.
That's nuts, bruv. And they use it like normal in France, bruv.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? It reminds me of that Dave Chappelle sketch.
Which one?
He goes, "What's your Indian name?"
Oh yeah, he goes, my name is Blackface. Blackfeet.
Yeah. Pied Noir. So yeah, that's that. And then I kind of started to rebel. Then I looked into, I say rebel, like I had to unprogram myself.
Yeah.
Deprogram, sorry, is the word. Deprogram myself from all this. So I read Malcolm X's book. I watched the DVD, Abdul Hakim Quick's history. What was it?
Deeper Roots.
Deeper Roots. I watched Roots.
Yeah.
And then, but again, it's kind of, and then when I came,
It kind of be you could say in some ways a reawakening of your identity.
It really was a reawakening, man.
You know, you wanted to search for things that you had not been told.
Yeah. So, and for me, my character is the more I'm made to feel like someone else, the more I want to be that other person.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The more for example, I remember when I worked in McDonald's and they said to you, shave your mustache off. Now, I didn't really care about having a mustache or not, but the fact that he told me to shave it, I wanted to grow like handlebars. I wanted to, do you understand what I'm saying to you? Like one of those, I wanted to, like you know those asterisks, the asterisk and obelix. Yeah. I'm like, what? You don't tell me what to do, bruv. Do you understand? Yeah. So that's the kind of mentality I had. So every time I read history, I always think, what happened at the same time? So for example, during World War I and World War II, what did the Muslim world look like? What did Muslim countries look like at the time? Does that make sense? Or for example, when the medieval times in Europe, what was it like in the Arabian Peninsula? What was it like in China? What was it like? So just to kind of get like a...
So are you comparing the medieval Europe versus
medieval Arabia or Africa or China? Or does that make sense? So what was going on at that time? Like, for example, during the...
Dark Ages?
The Dark Ages. What was happening
the Dark Ages of Europe compared to other Muslim countries.
Exactly. So for me, I would always...
We need to stop there if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's go.
Say, this is something that, again, the language, the terminology we use, we have to be careful. It's there in our mind. I'm here to be
educated, bro. Yeah, so yeah.
I regularly get interviewed by the media. Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, they always come out with this usual line about whilst Europe was living the Dark Ages, the Muslim world was flourishing.
Yeah.
So first of all, I have to, educate them about what the Muslim world is and who coined it, etc. But I'm going to say, once we've done that part, we clear that part up. Then I say to them, look, guys, just think about what you're saying here. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You're saying when Europe was living in the Dark Ages, the Muslims, basically, you could drop the word world, the Muslims were flourishing. The Muslims were flourishing in Europe. Muslim South, European Muslim South was where it all flourished from. No, it was Christian North that was living in the Dark Ages. And I go, this is another concept of
When you
othering
say
the
south,
Muslims.
what do you mean? Like,
Basically, the Muslims themselves, when they entered into Gibraltar, basically, the Moroccan commander who went across the Muslims in the year 711, it was to support a Christian king who's to do with a woman's honor, you could say. Yeah. And the Muslims themselves went all the way up to even Pontoise, about 400 miles away from British shores. And that's in France. And there was another part of the Muslims who for about just less than 200 years went into Switzerland as well. Switzerland had Islam before the Balkans had Islam.
Whoa.
And, what we have today is Portugal. That was run by the Muslims as well. So there's a large landmass of Southern Europe that was being ruled by the Muslims. So forget, Italy and that side, Sicily, you could say, even. It was this side, which is more the western part of Europe. Western Europe, but the southwest of Europe, you could say. Because you still had England at the top as well in the west. That was being ruled by the Muslims. And in Al-Andalus, we had street lighting there before we had street lighting in England. We had even public libraries.
What year are we looking at?
From 711 onwards, basically, up until just round it off to the year 1500, you could say. But obviously, gradually, when she hit closer to 1500, it declines the Muslim part of Al-Andalus. But what you have is also public libraries were available for anyone in Muslim Spain, not like how it was before, where it was just amongst elite people for private libraries as well. So public libraries available for everyone versus, private libraries for elite people. Look at how you see the difference in the knowledge here as well, how it was actually, if you could say, disseminated out to the different communities. People used to flock to Al-Andalus for knowledge. There were people who went from England and they viewed the people of, for example, Paris. They're saying, they're doing art here. What kind of knowledge is this? And then you go, if you went to Toledo, that's the place for gaining knowledge. And you realize that was the place to go to for, advancement of your knowledge. People were even commentating about non-Muslims, students. They were learning so much Arabic they were and mastered in it that they feared that they would convert to Islam as well. So look at that, the language of that time in terms of knowledge was Arabic as well. When you look at different places in terms of comparisons as well, people went from Scotland. You had Michael of Fife who travelled there as well. You also had Henry II's friend who went there as well. Audrey of Bath went there as well. Many people went to Muslim Spain, which was greater than what it is to Spain today. And, it was the hub of European learning.
Wasn't there there was a poem written by a priest, right? About the streets of Spain and all that. There was poetry written about it.
I mean, the other thing we need to remember, had it not been for, as I say, Muslim civilization, Greek civilization would have been lost.
Yes.
It was the Muslims who carried on Greek civilization and translated it, and so it could be maintained, as well as added commentary to it as well. And that civilization would have completely been lost had it not just been for the Muslims. Also, another part is, which people don't really talk about too much, are the Vikings in themselves. Yeah. We have much more written about the Vikings in the Muslim sources than in, I don't like to use the word, again, Western sources, because Muslims were part of the West as well. Yeah. But we can maybe say non-Muslim Western sources. When I was at school, I'm sure you were at school, we were only taught that the Vikings went westwards. Yes, they went to England, they went to York, Scotland part, and Ireland and Greenland and Iceland, blah, 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 whatever, and on to North America, the claim was. But we were never told they went to the Muslims. They had battles with the Muslims of Seville. They took over Seville for a few days until the Muslims regrouped to repel them. The Muslims themselves sent an ambassador to the Vikings as well. The Muslims went to Morocco. The Muslims went to modern day Turkey. They went to, the Hagia Sophia, the masjid now. There's Viking writing in there as well, which people don't even know about.
Isn't that film 13th Warrior written
That's
about
right, yeah.
Antonio Banderas, right?
That's right. Yeah.
You should watch it. But they've messed up the whole thing, though, man.
Yeah,
But there are parts within there that speak about the truth of what the Vikings did, in terms of the when the chieftain dies, what happens to the Viking woman, etc.
Right.
Examples of that, with the dog being split in half and as well, being sacrificed.
Yeah.
That's that. But there's another film that was made in the 1960s, which actually had Sidney Poitier.
Sidney Poitier,
who died. And Poitiers is from the city of Poitiers as well in France.
Oh, okay, right.
Where the Muslims reached the furthest. He made a film called The Longships.
Right.
And there's a British production as well as a Yugoslavian production, it was, in Technicolor.
Zach, write these down, please, bro. So we can put it in
The Longships, yeah. So that gives a small glimpse of another story to do with that's been dramatized, you could say.
Can I ask you to do something for us, please? Yeah. Can you put in perspective? Yeah. So how long was Islam in Europe for?
It's always been there.
I know. I'm okay. So
it's like the earliest Muslim connection.
Yes, the earliest
to do with England.
No. Okay. So let me put it this way. At this moment in time, the modern world. How long has the modern world existed? So you look at it's from the Victorian times, right? From industry.
But, look, the other thing is, there were Sahaba who were from Europe as well.
Yeah. So
Rumi, right? Yeah. Rumi, yeah. So when there was clothing that came from Europe as well that had reached the time of Prophet ﷺ as well. So, when you look at the Muslims' connection to do with Europe, it goes back to the beginning. But, even if you go to the time of, or the year of 700 and around about 141 years of the death of Prophet Muhammad, 770s. That's when we even had the earliest Muslim connection to do with the Muslims and England, which is at the British Museum. But it's unconnected to do with the Islamic Gallery. And there's no notice to say it's
what is it?
That is to do with a gold coin, which is like an imitation of a dinar. And that relates to an English king called King Offa, Offa Rex, and Rex is Latin for king. And King Offa himself, he was a major king of his time that had the most land, you could say.
Okay.
And it was a king of Mercia. One part of his boundary was that between Wales and England, and he built what's called Offa's Dyke, and some remnants of it does exist. If one person walks from the bottom to the top, it would take 11 days to complete the walk. That's how he built that defense, you could say. He's supposed to have built defenses against the Vikings as well. But where he gets this secret claim of not many people know about is that he did create a coin that had the Shahada on it, very crudely written, but it was an imitation of a gold dinar. And that was because if you look at history during that time, is that, today that the currency of the trade is largely the dollar, although some countries are dropping that now. What you also find, the currency of the trade in the Mediterranean of that time was the dinar. So some people suggested he had to be, trading with the Muslims as well, if that was people of Al-Andalus as well.
How long after Rasulullah passed?
141 years.
So not
that's the earliest.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's Anglo-Saxon period, if you like.
Yeah.
I've met Muslim school children who go to Muslim schools, and I know their teachers because they know me. I bumped into them at the British Museum once, and I said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" Because we came to learn about Anglo-Saxon. I go, "Oh, that's good." And did they teach you about the Muslim connections at the Anglo-Saxon times? And I said, "No." I go, "Okay, do you want to know where the earliest Muslim connection is and where the Anglo-Saxon connection is?" I go, "It's in here in the British Museum," but they've not taught you that. So even you may go to these destinations to get educated about Anglo-Saxonism, if you like, in terms of the British Museum, the staff there are not going to mention the Muslim connections there. Why? This is during the same time. And you're taking a Muslim school.
Do you think it's ignorance, or do you think
it is part of that? But it's also you're just presenting a certain element of history, and you don't want to.
And also a narrative as well.
Yeah, narrative, you could say. And you don't want to reveal everything. And sometimes I have to be honest, from what I've found is that workshop leaders and teachers, they are actually, pretty lazy. Once they've done their lesson plan, that's it. They won't
but they don't have a
budge. from there.
They don't really have a
They don't have knowledge of it either.
knowledge or like a reason to.
Because I think there's just a generic workshop, so why bother?
Why
Although
bother?
they know the Muslim schools coming, but yeah, fine, we don't need to teach about the Muslim connection, but that's because we don't know about it. And,
So what do you say? What do you say? What reaction do you get when you? So, for example, when I speak to people sometimes, non-Muslims,
Yeah.
and I tell them about Islamic history, my very crude knowledge of it, from what I've read, it's like you get this blank stare, like you're telling them fiction almost, like they don't connect it in their head, like when we say that, for example, Moorish Spain was 800 years, like it lasts for 800 years.
Yeah,
that's like, think about it. If you took to this point 800 years back, where would we be? It's like I can't do the maths.
roughly in the 1200s.
The 1200s. So think about that.
Yeah,
But
but the thing is,
But they I don't know. I just feel like they don't quite comprehend.
because you can't come from this angle. My honest truth is,
Go on,
the reason why
go on.
is because we love to speak about Muslim Spain.
Yeah.
I belong to a few WhatsApp group. People are saying we've got to teach the West about Muslim Spain. What we gave the West. I'm thinking, here we go again. We were part of the West. We have been part of the West. Don't actually differentiate us, basically. Don't take us out from there, number one. Number two, during that time, yes, we were leading civilization, then you could say. But what's happened in the last 500 years, it stopped.
Yeah.
500 years ago, when we lost Muslim Spain and Andalus, it stopped. I go, what's happened there for 500 years? We've made contributions to world civilization, except we're not learning, we're not celebrating it, and we don't want to showcase it. To be honest, there's many other examples where I've done the research. I found other people who've done breakthroughs, Muslims who've done breakthroughs. I approached Muslim TV stations. I had one-to-one meetings in their own offices. I said, let's do a documentary about this person. You know what they say to me? We're not interested. Let's do another documentary about Islam's contribution to world civilization. I go, that's been done and dusted how many times? So, even when we carried out some polls as well, the Muslim community blamed the Muslim media for not showcasing new knowledge and still being stuck in the past. So we are to be blamed for the problem. They said that imams themselves are to be blamed as well. How many of our imams know about our own history in Britain?
But I don't know.
But these are the people who are in the pulpits, they say. Yes, we're telling examples from the Seerah, from the Sahaba, and some examples from here, there, and wherever. When are imams going to be start teaching about our history in Britain? There are valuable lessons that can be learned. I'll give you a classic example. You remember in the 1990s, we had all these Jamaats, basically, who adopted the Arabic name, although in transliteration. You had one group this, one group that, one group this. They were all, Arabic names they were. But, they said we're giving dawah to the non-Muslims. And you think to yourself, hold on a minute, but the non-Muslims have no idea what these names mean. But this was already resolved by the Victorian Muslims who were here in Britain. They started off with these quote-unquote Arabic names. But what they did, then they translated their names and they realized they were making mistakes. They translated it into the English equivalent and then adopted that English name.
So give me an example. What kind of...
so you had a organization called Anjuman Islam, Service to Islam. That's what it became afterwards. No. We need it. Well, in Pakistan they are.
Okay, right.
But they have no idea about the English. The English branch that used to exist here in Trafalgar Square.
So, do you feel like there's a disconnect? So, for example, you've got the immigration that happened, for example, in the 50s and 60s. Yeah. So, new wave of immigrants coming in
from the Commonwealth, mostly.
From the Commonwealth, yeah. So, the West Indies, Africa. Bangladesh, and all that.
Bangladesh didn't exist then. But
East Pakistan.
Yeah.
And then you got before that, which is the Victorian Muslims that were there.
There was an indigenous Muslim population.
So what happened in that period there then?
Well, we were a number of reasons. We lost the Khalifa basically in the 1920s.
Right. So the Ottoman Empire fell.
Empire fell.
Yeah.
You had, you could say we always had the two world wars between then as well. Yeah. But it was a moment in history where the Muslims themselves were disconnected amongst themselves. And even if you look at, there were splits within the Ummah as well. And that's something we don't seem to know, you could say. If you look, for example, at the 1800s, there was Nelson. He fought the French in Egypt at the Battle of the Nile, they call it.
Okay.
Although some Egyptians claim there's never been a Battle of the Nile. It depends what history they get towards. But it did happen. And, Ottoman Sultan Selim III, he thanked Nelson for stopping the French from occupying Egypt, when in reality, the French were using Egypt as a shortcut to get to India, because they were allies with Tipu Sultan, the legendary freedom fighter who was fighting the British. So on one hand, you have the Ottomans.
TV show around the minute.
Yeah, but what you notice here, that two different sides. The Indians in India were on the side of the French and fighting the British occupiers at that time, East India Company, for example.
Yeah. Whilst
the Ottomans were allies of Britain, and Nelson was a friend of the Ottomans. So much so that even the Sultan Selim III rewarded him with medals and some other gifts as well.
So what was the relationship between the Ottoman Empire
and Britain?
There's
a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, so before, so I remember watching, do you remember, what was that channel, the YouTube channel, Islamic, ILM?
Yeah.
So I remember, I didn't even know
Dr.
this.
Steph.
That's correct. Mashallah, they're doing amazing work, man. And they were talking about, they asked the last Caliph, basically, because he sided with the Germans, right? During the Second World War or First World War? And he goes, my biggest mistake was siding with the Germans. That he goes, they asked him, what would you do if, again, I might be completely butchering
just
this.
to slightly give it more context, there were Ottomans in Britain at that time as well.
Right.
And they were reclassified depending on where they came from. And,
So
Alexandra
Ottomans,
Palace as well.
Turks?
Turks was a separate category. Turks had to be interviewed to see what side they could be labeled on. And, in terms of they were interviewed to see if they're going to be interned, for example, on the Isle of Man. Isle of Man had Ottomans on there.
Well, this is new to me, bro.
Ali Pali, as I say?
Yeah, Ali Pali, yeah.
Alexandra Palace, they had Ottomans there imprisoned as well.
Why?
Because they were the enemies, aren't they? Enemy of the state, as I say. Because they were
what were they doing there in the first place?
No, they're already living here in Britain.
I see. So since that, when Ottomans side with the Germans, they had to interview these.
They had to interview the Turks to find out what side they were on. They also had the Syrian Ottomans. You had Armenian Ottomans as well, and Jewish Ottomans as well.
Wow, I didn't know that, man. Where was the prison?
You had the Isle of Man as well. There's some research that's happening there. I mean, I did actually make communication with the people leading the research project there, and I asked them, do you believe there could have been a mosque there? And I said, we've not found any evidence that there was a mosque there, but it's a good possibility there could have been if there were Muslims there as well.
So was it like a concentration camp almost?
Almost, you could say.
Like what the Japanese had in, what the Americans
No,
did
not
to the
I would say
Japanese.
that type, because even like there were some of the buildings they were living in do still exist. So they're now hotels, you could say.
Okay, right.
But they were taken away in different localities, and Isle of Man was one of them.
So this narrative that's been spun, that Muslim immigration, quote unquote, is something that just happened in the 90s or the 50s.
After the Second World War. That's a common
after the Second
line
World War.
that people say, especially the Islamophobes love to do, and say, my grandfather fought for the war and this, that, whatever. I'm thinking, well, hold on a minute, so did other people's grandfathers, but you don't hear about it. And that's something else why I have at times been asked by local authorities, do I cover Muslim contribution to the two world wars, any of the monuments, etc.? And I'm like, well, here we go again. And I go, I just say clearly no. And they're like, well, why don't you cover that? I go, why do I need to cover that? I go, that's not only what we've actually contributed to Britain. There's many, although I do actually cover different stories relating to that, you could say, like Noor Inayat Khan, etc. Noor Inayat Khan. She was a female radio operator, and she was a descendant of Tipu Sultan. So sometimes she gets classified as a spy princess, but she used to live on the same road as Abdul in Bloomsbury.
Yeah. So one second, she was a what?
Radio operator initially, but then she was parachuted into.
What's a radio operator?
Working behind enemy lines in France when it was occupied by Nazi Germany.
Right.
She was parachuted in there, and she was a spy basically, and she was shot dead after she was taken to Germany because she wasn't prepared to give up the names of our British agents. And she's been popularized in the film. She has now a blue plaque as well.
Is she Muslim?
Yes.
Interesting, man.
Is it this lady here? Yeah.
Yeah, that's Noor Khan. And she was actually trained to be a radio operator. You know, if you come out of Baker Street Tube Station.
Where is she from? Pakistan. She's Pakistani.
Pakistan didn't used to exist at that
course.
time. Yeah. Noor Khan, she was actually born in Russia, but she grew up in France. She came to Britain. Her father was Indian. Her mother was American, white American.
Right.
And they were, her father was a descendant of Tipu Sultan, and they used to hold like what they call Sufi circles, you could say, congregations.
Yeah.
In Bloomsbury, a Golden House as well. But there is a possibility that she did meet Abdul as well, because they were momentarily on this. The houses were on the same road, but there's a crossover in terms of the where they could have potentially have met as well. And the gardens across where she used to live, there is what's called a bust of her, like a half statue.
Yeah,
but that's her. She's one of only. In fact, she's the first Indian Muslim woman to be given a plaque, a blue plaque. But in general, the Muslims themselves, we only have around about 13, 14 plaques in the whole of UK, and that's quite weak in terms of representation.
Yeah,
extremely weak. And to get plaques, it's difficult. From there,
what would you have to? Yeah, what would you have to do to kind of?
Well, a plaque signifies or commemorates an individual or an event that's taken place that has historical significance.
Right.
And you have local plaques. And sometimes you have like charity or civic organizations who have plaques as well. So, for example, you could get Hammersmith and Fulham History Society puts up plaques, and those plaques will be different from the local authority, the Hammersmith and Fulham local authority, different plaque scheme. And then you have English Heritage, which they only issue 12 plaques in one whole year, and there's a 3-year waiting list. So that one at the moment, I've actually said to the London Mayor's office, needs to be brought back to his office as opposed to people who don't live in London. Assessing these whole thing to do with plaques, blue plaques in London. So that's what takes place. But there is for example, a sister, a Niqabi sister, who has the local authority has agreed to give her a plaque.
Wow, how come?
Because I'm one of the panelists.
You're one of the
panelists.
Yeah.
I was invited to join the local authority plaque scheme to be one of the assessors. And
which local authority was
Waltham Forest.
Oh, Waltham Forest, okay.
And this was after I actually managed to get a plaque there for the site of London's first Eid prayers of 1894. So if you come out of Chingford Station, turn right up the hill, there's a Premier Inn Hotel or the Royal Forest Hotel. On there, it has a blue plaque to do with what's believed to be the site of London's first Eid prayers, 1894. And because of that and my work to do with history on the borough, the local authority approached me and said, could I join that panel to be one of the assessors for, assessing who should from the Black and Asian community be given a plaque. And that's the venue. Yeah. But there is a plaque just to the left of it as well. We had the mayor there, and we had about probably 70 people turned up, and that's quite huge for an unveiling of a plaque. And I think if you want a picture of it, you can go to my Instagram page, Muslim History Tours, and find the picture there. But what happened, I mean, I think I was the only non-Muslim panelist as well, certainly at that time, because I know somebody else actually became Muslim afterwards. And this sister was, she was judged to be given the highest marks, you could say, for her contribution to society, the borough, etc. But what happened was she had worked at a few mosques, and I first went to approach Masjid A, shall we say, for a plaque to go in the building. Cut a long story short, they said no. And I'm like, how come? her husband was even the imam here, and she was doing X, Y, and Z for the community. And the person who actually knew, he said, look, AbdulMaalik, I want to give it. I don't know problem, but the rest of the committee are saying no. So then went to another masjid, similar situation. And they said no as well. Went to another masjid, and they said no. Went to another masjid, and the head person said, look, I don't have a problem with this. And we need, more Muslim as well as sisters plaques going up. But the rest of the committee have said no. So internally, there's an issue.
But you know why? You've got an idea why?
Sometimes people say, well, if we give one person a plaque, then we have to consider the other people. They will get upset and this, that, whatever. So, there's a bit of stupidity. I'm sorry that goes on. That's the plaque here. So it says there, this is the site. This site was the location for the first known Eid prayers in London, 1894.
I didn't even know there was Muslims in bro, in London.
Well, it's a shame, bro.
Those Eid prayers were all organised by the Ottoman Embassy, as well as the Anjuman Islam Society. They organised them because there was a bit of split with Woking Mosque. And even then, the founder of Woking Mosque, who actually established Woking Mosque, Dr. gwlpodcast, who was somebody born into the Jewish faith, whose mother converted to Protestant Christianity. And he, gwlpodcast, studied in the madrasa in Turkey. And when I went to Turkey in November, December, I went to two of the places, the madrasa, to try to find some records, etc. But obviously, the buildings have changed. But the people I spoke to who are connected to the institutions that exist there now, as well as some other people, as well as people who are of the Jewish faith living in Turkey and in the Jewish Museum, they all agreed for him to have studied in the madrasa, he had to have been a Muslim.
But he hid that when he came back or something?
When he comes to England, there's somebody else who's looked at his life as well, who realized that his mother had Jewish heritage as well. He goes, and that's when he started looking at his Jewish identity part. And he goes, Dr. gwlpodcast seems to speak favorably about Islam, but he doesn't reveal.
So he kept it hidden.
We don't know. I don't like to say he was a non-Muslim. Put it that way. I would say he was born Jewish. His mother had converted to Christianity, Protestantism, Protestant Christianity. But I would never say Dr. gwlpodcast was a non-Muslim, because the more I've looked into his life, it seems there's a potential, possibility he could have been a Muslim.
You know what would be amazing, bro? AbdulMaalik.
It's just like this, hidden history in terms of who are Muslims or whatever.
That's a show, bro.
It's like
that
the other thing
itself is a show.
On the Victorian line, you get King's Cross and what station is it? St. Pancras.
Yeah.
Who was St. Pancras?
I don't know, bro. You tell me, man.
Pancras himself was somebody who was a practicing Christian, or what we call today a practicing Christian. Some references say he was a zealous Christian.
Right.
And he was summoned to the Roman Empire because of his faith. And he was asked to sacrifice to other than God. And he said no. And he was martyred, due to his faith, his belief. And he was only around about 13 or 14 when he died. And 13 or 14 when he was killed.
Whoa.
And this is before the Trinity. Yeah? Trinity was formulated 325 AD in the Council of Nicaea, which is in modern day Turkey.
Yeah.
So it's before the Trinity. As Muslims, how do we see the people who remained upon monotheism before the Trinity was formed? We see them as what? Muslims.
So this is before Islam as well?
Well, before what we call Islam today.
Yeah, before the birth of Rasul.
Yeah, before the Trinity. The Christians who existed before them, we take them to be Muslims. So Pancras himself is, I would say, was a Muslim. And this is part of our iman, our faith, Aqidah as well. You could say, we say that as well. And, if you look at any picture or representation of Pancras, he's always pointing with his forefinger up, which is the same finger we hold up as well. And that's something I mentioned on the sightseeing tour bus, because you always go past the St. Pancras. And the attendees themselves, they want me to always repeat that part again because they're fascinated.
But why did they call him Pancras of
Hey,
Rome?
bro, look at his finger.
Yeah.
It's pointed up.
There you are. It's the same finger, the short finger.
Just
Forefinger.
need some nasheed in the background, bro. Da, 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 da.
That's really cool, man.
But that, you've got his Latin name there, and it means the one who holds something in his hand.
Right.
The one that holds everything, yeah.
They did them off at 13.
Yeah, around about that age, 13, 14. Wow, and it's before the concept of the Trinity.
There's another story in the Quran about the ghulam, the boy. Similar story. About the boy and the king. You know the story?
Yeah.
Similar kind of story, right?
Yeah.
Where he was called to the king and the king told him to...
Surah Al-Buruj,
Yeah, Surah Al-Buruj, exactly, bro. SubhanAllah. And what about this? Okay, this is another thing. I remember finding out quite young about this, that I don't know what the term is. I think it's the Anglo-Cis, when they take Muslim figures and give them English names.
The scientists
Yeah, so for example, Ibn Sina,
became,
Abyssinia.
Abyssinia.
Who else you had? But can you Google that, please, bro? There's a list of what about not Ibn Khaldun?
Ibn Rushd was another one.
What was his English name? Latin name, sorry.
Averroes.
Right. Yeah. So
there's even names in English society.
Yeah.
That, for example, in 1100s, 1200s, they've used the Latin names.
Yeah.
And there have been researchers who have said that they are in reality Muslim names.
Can you think of any?
There's a place in Wiltshire. There was I'm trying to remember his name, Professor Morris it was. He looked at a couple of names where he actually identified one name to be Abu Bakr and the other name escapes me at the moment. But, close by, you do have Salisbury Cathedral as well, which is in Wiltshire.
Yeah.
Which has, it said, Arabic numerals in the beams as well.
Yeah.
And people often wondered how did those Arabic numerals appear there. And they aged back to that time as well.
The name Moore.
Yeah.
Like Roger Moore and that. Is that?
It depends which way you take it from. The original, it's a shortened version of the term Blackamoor. Blackamoor meant somebody who came from Muslim Spain
Moros as well,
or North Africa, you could say.
What's it called?
Blackamoor. And it's like, King Henry VIII. A lot of people don't know this. King Henry VIII had a blackamoor working for him. Because his image does exist, where he's wearing a turban as well. And he was a trumpeter. And he himself, his name was, believe it or not, John Black. And so this predates even slavery as well. Because a lot of people think when black people came to Britain, it was only through slavery. I said, no, this predates slavery. But he was around and used to work.
Do you know what kind of
capacity? Because he was wearing a turban and it was known that he came from North Africa. So there's a possibility, yes, he could have been a Muslim. So he came over with Queen, what's her name? Escapes me at the moment. Queen of Aragon, basically. He came over with, and
was he fill out an application form or something? How did he get
he was
over?
at service with somebody.
What does that mean?
He was working basically for
was it servitude or is it more kind of like a profession?
It was he was a trumpeter.
Catherine of Aragon.
He was, Catherine of Aragon.
But where's
John
Aragon,
Black.
bro? I want to go there, bro.
The would have been Spain.
Where?
Spain. She was a queen who came via Spain.
So Aragon means Spain?
No. That was her name.
Whose name?
Queen Aragon.
Oh, and, Aragon was her name?
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought Aragon was a place.
And what happened was that, John Black was her trumpeter and came over here as well. But then if you look at King George's as well, they had Muslim servants as well. But the Muslim servants in this case, they actually converted to Christianity, it was said.
Right.
And their names were Muhammad as well. And this is in the 1700s.
These are the names. Look, Ibn Sina, the father of medicine, is known as Avicenna.
Avicenna.
Yeah.
Al-Khawarizmi.
His name became algorithmy.
Oh, that's where the algorithm comes from.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of these names, but the other factor to remember, this is only up until the time of Muslim Spain.
Yeah.
What happens after Muslim Spain?
Yeah. Again, yeah.
If I was to ask you, can you name me a
scientific
scientific contribution the Muslims have done after the loss of Muslim Spain? This is the key question I asked.
So what
comes on the
after?
tours,
So give us what was the last? When did Muslim Spain?
1497 Granada, basically. So
Okay.
it's round it off to 1500.
Let's say 1500. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What happened after?
when was the Industrial Revolution? 1800s, right?
When was what?
Industrial Revolution.
You've been very much British educated, haven't you? You can tell by the terminology.
So I'm a product of my environment. I'm trying to deprogram. That's why you're here, man.
He's been institutionalized.
I've been institutionalized, man. What was that? What would you call it then?
Depends which part of the world you're in.
Well, okay.
Everywhere else it's used modernization.
Okay, modernization.
And only in Britain we use the word industrialization.
Why is that?
It's to do with terminology. Because if I said to you Egypt became modernized in the 1800s through Muhammad Ali,
Yeah.
what was the opposite of modernization?
Yeah.
What's the key word that comes to your mind?
Uncivilized. Well,
Yeah, or backwards, basically.
You're being
Yeah.
backwards.
But you see that. That's how you think society was, and through British steam power, etc. That's how countries started to become modernized. It's a bit like if I say to you, this is one you might know. When other countries, people from other countries go to other countries, what are they seen as? Immigrants. However, when British people go abroad, what are they seen as?
Expats.
Exactly.
That bothers me, man.
Yeah.
But if I go abroad, I'm still an immigrant, bro. Even though I've got a British passport. The British have got a way with
Same
words.
Pirates and privateers.
A what?
Pirate, you think you might learn at the primary school here about the pirates, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, I was taught about the pirates, but I was never taught who the pirates were. They were Muslims.
Yeah, they were Muslims. Yeah.
You had black beard, brown beard, European Muslims.
Barbarossa
as well.
and the Corsairs who were actually paid. They were like what the Russians are doing now in Ukraine, paying these like Blackwater. Basically, it was like Blackwater and mercenaries. That's who the Corsairs.
I mean,
right?
you're originally from Algeria. Have you heard of Algerian rovers?
What's that?
They were supposedly the pirates who actually occupied British land.
Yeah, I heard
in the 1600s.
Oh, I don't know if you heard one of our podcasts, bro. We went through the whole I say went through in a.
We skimmed past.
We talked. There was a story about a woman. Have you heard of this story
about a woman?
I'm going to get there.
That's what's on your mind.
Let me get there. So this woman, she was a journalist and she was doing research about, she's from Cornwall. Mm. She heard one of her ancestors was kidnapped by pirates. Mm-hmm. So she was doing research and long story short, she found herself in Morocco.
Yeah.
And she ended up getting married to a Berber guy and she settled there. But so this is when I found out is they used to come to England and just rob women, bruv, and
it was just
raid.
Raids. Yeah. And there's an island in the Bristol Channel called Lundy Island.
Yeah.
And this was used as a staging post, you could say. Ottomans refer it to as a naval regional base. You could say. They did raid. Algerian rovers and Ottomans did come there at different times.
First, 1 second. Well, carry on. That's for my Algerian rovers.
Okay. I thought actually something to do with the woman. But
no.
That's that one. Okay. But yes, they used to come to Britain, and they were also Jan Johnson, Murad Rais. Jan Johnson was a Dutch a Muslim who converted to Islam, had a wife in Holland and one in Morocco.
Top G.
In Salih.
Shout out to Jan Johnson, bro.
And he used to come to Britain, England at that time, and he used to raid places as well. On the 1001 Inventions timeline, it makes mention of these Muslims coming and attacking this village and kidnapping the people, basically, taking them back. However, this village, when I looked it up, I couldn't find it. I really dug deep, pulled out old maps, church records, everything, just parish records, I said, to locate this village. It didn't exist. And it was based upon a rumor. And I did tell one of the professors involved in that 1001 Inventions, this point is not it's based upon rumor and it can't really be used because the rumor was based upon somebody who was summoned to court, and he goes, "I had heard that this had taken place."
Right.
So it's not factual. It's just some, as he says it.
Yeah.
So there is that. But then what you have as well is that Jan Johnson, or Murat Reis, as we say, he had a concubine in Morocco, and they had a son, and the son was called Antonia Saley, and he made it to what today is New York. And what happened was that even his will is in the New York archives as well. And he's Muslim there. Basically, the people were calling him a Turk.
Right.
And this person was also mixed heritage. He doesn't make even all these stories about Muslims in Britain, Muslims in America in the 1600s, which is quite odd.
He doesn't make it.
He doesn't make it. He's not mentioned. But in the Brooklyn archives, his will's there. And, he was there. He kept a Quran with his signature in it as well. And that got given to his descendants up until the 1900s, when the people in the 1900s didn't know who Antonia Saley was, and they just auctioned off the Quran. And then one of the descendants is, in fact, your favorite city, Casablanca.
Yeah.
In Morocco.
Dar al Bayda, we call it, bro.
Okay. And what's the famous film that was made there by Hollywood?
Of all the places in all the world and all that, you had to crawl into. Was it that one?
Which
Humphrey Bogart?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's his descendant.
No.
And it's called Casablanca. So he's only returned to his roots, you could say.
But did he know that?
Probably didn't. There is even a CNN reporter. He realized he's a descendant of him as well.
Hey, you know what? My mind's been blown like 15 times.
Bruv. Allahumma barik, bro.
But he needs his own show, bro.
He does, bro.
Honestly, you need your own show.
I'll actually pay to listen to it as well, bro.
Bro, if we can do anything together, I'm being serious, bro. This is like God on his truth. We just put a mic in front of you. We got the cameras.
And you got a radio voice, bro.
You got that voice. We can, bro, this is the open invitation, bro. We'll talk about it off air. But honestly, I think it's quite interesting because, like, I was going to say to you, who do you think you are? No, as in...
Yeah, the BBC programme, yeah.
The way he looked at me, he's like, what are you talking about, bro?
No, I knew he was referring to.
Okay. Is it called Who Do You Think You Are?
Yeah. The BBC programme.
So I was watching it a few years ago, and they did Dot Cotton, from EastEnders.
Yes.
And she's Algerian.
I don't remember that. I know she got Jewish heritage.
Jewish Algerian heritage, bro.
Yeah. And to be honest, that's when I learned the word sadaqah they use as well, to mean sadaqah as well, charity.
Yes. Oh, the Jews use the same word.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I watched that probably about 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's a while back. But she's from Wahran.
Yeah.
In East Algeria, yeah. So, look at the connections. But there's not enough. I mean, if we had a show, if some sort of programming, yeah, because Muslim TV shows, yeah, Muslim TV,
they don't cover this.
They're too slow. TV in general, not just Muslim TV in general, bro. It takes time to get something together with them.
It's about changing their mindsets.
Yeah, but
I presented to them.
But
saying, look, this is what the audience wants, and you guys are not producing it.
Yeah.
Because we're not, to be honest, in terms of our research skills for media, Muslim media, it's mostly copy and paste or dubbed and redubbed, basically.
But with AbdulMaalik, we've got our own platforms now, bro. We have to make our own platforms, bro.
Where are they then?
But
today we're here. Yeah, today
I just told you, you're here now, but we've got the cameras. Like, we could do something, monetize it in some sort of way. Why not? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would listen to it.
I would listen to it. There's that podcast called Serial. Have you heard of it?
Serial?
Yeah, Serial.
Very good, bro. Very, very good.
Oh, is that you're listening to it, right? Well, what's it about?
It's about that guy, Adnan Syed, that's in prison in Baltimore. He killed his ex-girlfriend, Korean girl, but he says he didn't do it. So
it's like So
that kind of, don't mind me saying, that's something a similar. Well, there's one of the locations on the tour, Central London tour, which is the most popular tour I have, and we stop at a particular location where there's a statue of somebody who's a Christian, and I hope that's not your belly.
That's the bottle. That's the bottle.
Is that the bottle?
Yeah, it's the bottle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Carry on.
As I said, there's a woman, basically a statue of a woman, and she said that she was killed by a Muslim.
Right.
And I've tried to look into the story about this, how she was killed. She was a Muslim, yes, but she became Christian.
Right.
And she was killed in the 1960s in Pakistan, in the villages of Pakistan. In the village of Pakistan. And it was, I've tried to look into this, in terms of how she was killed, but I don't know. All I know, she was killed by a Muslim fanatic. That's it. So kind of similar to that type of story.
Yeah,
like
basically.
Who done it type thing. How did it happen?
Oh,
60s.
Yeah. So this journalist, is it a journalist that?
Yeah, Sarah Koenig.
So is it a journalist?
Yeah, she's a journalist.
And she's basically
she basically built up the case again because there was so many hidden evidence that wasn't shown.
Yeah.
And then she brought it to light basically, and now he's having like a retrial and then another retrial, and now they're pushing to do like a new DNA analysis of like advanced DNA. Basically, he's still trying to get out, and he's pleading innocent.
So I'm saying to you, if we did like we produce it, a Muslim history tour, like show. Honestly, bro, Muhammad, AbdulMaalik, yeah. So you literally you would go. Imagine like a virtual tour, but in episode format. Do you understand? Like you could do Britain, you could do Turkey, you could do whichever. Like you just need someone to produce it, right? That's why you went to the. That's why you went to the TV stations, right?
Yeah. Well, I just said to them, it's new content.
Yeah, but I think you more people will see it if it's on YouTube.
I think that would be the case, and now TikTok as well. TikTok's overtaken
and then
viewership
clips, bro. You
short
use
videos,
yeah, short videos, clip. But
that's why I'm producing short videos.
But I'm saying
as well.
30-minute show, 20-minute show,
Bro,
10 episodes, season 1, season 2, season 3. Trust me, I would watch it. I'll make my kids watch it. Imagine gathering. Well, I wanted this podcast so people to bring people together, right? To actually. Show stories. The whole point of the studio that we're building is to highlight stories that not necessarily anyone's highlighting. You're doing that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
99% of the stuff that you brought up, like I had no idea.
Blew you.
Yeah. I had no idea.
But the thing is, you also have a very good way of narrating. Look, there's people out there that making content, but they don't have both, right? They don't have the passion. Or they don't have the...
I mean, the topic itself, I find, is largely within academia. And, my fellow historians, they know, academics, they know that the audience I like to do is lay public.
Yeah. That's what we need, bro.
Myself, I am writing a children's book as well about the topic. I said, it's not aimed at Muslims, it's aimed at school children.
AbdulMaalik, we need to talk off air, bro. Honestly. And I'm just doing it for the... I would love to be involved. If you want us to be involved, we get other people involved to make it more of we can speak to other people who have experience in shooting shows and stuff like that. We have the equipment. Do you understand? Like it could just be you on a chair, literally. Like and you talking into the mic. You have something prepared over a few episodes, and we'll just test it out. Then we can use that, and you can push it out on your platform. Make small clips from each thing. Like for example, this episode. Imran's gonna make a few clips.
There's so many gems, bro.
So many
gems.
you see what I'm saying? So, I know obviously our platform is geared towards men. I say men. It's more for martial arts, like life and all this stuff. And
okay,
but
here's a question. Though.
Yeah, go on.
It's geared towards men.
Go on.
The vast majority of people who come on my tours are females.
Is it?
Not men.
So why aren't men coming, bro?
I'll ask you the question.
Do you offer food, bro?
Well, I do have an eat cruise coming up. It's gonna have buffet brunch.
But let's market it towards the men, bro. Maybe the marketing is not there, bro.
The vast majority of the content is men. I'm speaking about men.
No. I'm saying.
I mean, it's generic advertising.
Okay,
I don't say for sisters only.
No.
Although I am preparing a Muslim women's tour that looks at Muslim women in history in Britain, in London.
Yeah. That's a good point. Why haven't I gone to your tour? But I think that it's the whole walking part.
I mean, when
probably,
people
with
find
lazy
out I'm
kids,
single
innit?
as well, and people say, well, hold on to me. You just mentioned that, there's majority of the people who come on your tours are sisters. So why are you not married as well? And I'm thinking, what do you want me to do?
Well, that's not why you're doing it, innit? Exactly, bro.
I think they're just lazy, bro. Men are lazy, bro.
Honestly,
I know. Well, there's one sister said her husband, who's a speaker
Yeah,
as
we're
well,
lazy. We're lazy,
I
bro.
said that he thought I was going to be covering roles and war. But what they saw was something completely different.
Yeah.
But he did come, I remember he did actually join the Sightseeing Bus Tour last year. He did, yeah. The whole family came, extended family as well.
But it's different when it's in the comfort of your own home, innit? And you're listening to you just...
Well, if you want to get maximum, if you want to get to know the locality where it will happen,
You have to go, man.
you have to be out there.
Yeah, 100%.
Imagine speaking about what else could we choose? For example, the Mega Mosque of London. I could speak about it from here, put a few pictures up, but you wouldn't know. You wouldn't feel the same if you were there in front of where it was.
Yeah.
I actually think you're missing a trick here, bro. Because if you had a show, more people will come to your walks, bro. Because then they want to see it for themselves. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
And there is the other side, like somebody did yesterday who messaged me on LinkedIn asking me,
Yeah,
I come to,
status.
you saw the status. Okay.
Go.
They asked me, it's good, you've featured in the paper and blah, 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 whatever. And they said, I come to London quite often for work as well. Could you tell me a few Islamic history sites, please?
What do you mean?
Bro, that's his job, innit? How am I going to tell you for free over the
whole thing. That's happened, on more than one occasion. But I just wrote back and said, look, this is the web link. You may want to book out a tour. I just left it as that. But I asked the question on social media and WhatsApp groups. What do you think my reply should be? People burst out laughing.
But when I read it, I was cracking out. I was like, bro, you taking
It's the whole concept as well, paying for something when it comes to knowledge.
Yeah, of course.
We have this tendency, I hate to say it, that some of us do, that when it's related to Islam or Muslims, it should be free or next to nothing.
Yeah.
Now, as somebody who's professionally qualified tour guide, I've studied for it. I was, in fact, the first Muslim in Britain to qualify as well. And it wasn't easy.
Give him that Have you got it? That's it. Again. Well, you got to say it again. No, you got to say it again, bruv. So line it up again.
I am Britain's first professionally qualified Muslim tour guide.
Again, bruv. Sunnah. There you go, bruv. Definitely deserves that, bro. What about explosion? We got an explosion?
Nah, I ain't got explosion.
Not a beer even?
Nah, I don't, bro.
Actually, we should stay away from the explosions, bro, if they want us in here. Okay, that's actually a good segue into... Go on.
No, I was going to so, this whole thing, some people have said that my rate of charging £30 for an adult for a tour is expensive.
Nice, no?
Is that it?
It's £30, yeah. And I said, well, it's not. When you compare it as a specialist in his field, I'm charging far less than what people do on mainstream.
Just so you know, I charge more when I build websites. And £30, how long is that?
It could be an hour and a half, it could be 2 hours, it could be 3 hours. But it's a morning slot.
Yeah, no.
If it goes onto a day slot, it's still far less than what mainstream is supposed to do. And these are public rates that are available on the internet. You can find them out. Yeah,
but they'll use other tools though. They'll do other tours, but why not do this one?
Muslims in general, believe it or not, from my experience, have not been on tours. They prefer to do what I call selfie tours.
What's that?
Take the old picture, do your mobile phone. I've been here, Buckingham Palace, Tower Bridge, what they call London Bridge, sorry, I should say. And then they go this place. That's it.
I've been on one tour. I've been on one tour in Portugal, in Sintra, and then that's it.
Was it a guided tour?
Nah, it wasn't.
There you are. Why? Didn't you go on a guided tour?
I don't think there was. Really.
So what kind of tour was it?
It was just going around the moors.
But what did they speak about it?
Did you go yourself?
No, I went by myself. It was just like a round, but there wasn't really.
One second. That's not a tour, bro. That's you bopping around.
Yeah, I toured, didn't it?
But you said I went on a tour.
Okay, I went by myself on a tour with myself.
And did you take a camera with you or your mobile phone?
I took a camera. I took pictures of the
That's a selfie tour.
Yeah.
Selfie tour.
So can I say something?
But there isn't. Over there, I don't think there was a Muslim tour, to be honest, to tell you about the moors and that.
Did you search for it?
I probably didn't, bro.
So he expects people just, oh, brother.
I want you to be there. Why weren't you there? Come on, be there, bro.
We need to get this. We need to get AbdulMaalik out there, bro.
But this is
People
the
need to
whole
know.
thing, this is what I say to people, even doing the sightseeing bus tour, guided tour, groups or whatever. I was starting with, how many of you been on a guided tour before? That's the general question. Vast majority of people don't put their hands up. That's how many of you been on a Muslim tour abroad? The odd few have. Have they been on a black or Asian or general tour in Britain? Hardly anyone. So this is a mindset that we need to change. So here we're still talking about Muslim media changing, but it's ourselves that we need to change.
Yeah.
We need to start paying for guided tours.
I think
Why is it that we rush to go to Muslim Spain to do Al-Andalus and Alhambra, etc.? Why is that?
Yeah.
Why don't we have that same first look in our history here? People don't realize that's completely disconnect. That is.
awesome.
In the sense, that's all I remember. You have local authorities who are paying Muslim organizations to take Muslim youth to look at Muslim Spain, but they're not paying, for example, Muslim history tours to show children about their own history here, even though they're born and bred here.
Yeah. So let's go into. Can you bring up League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, please, bro? Just a picture and just hold it. Yeah. So you said that obviously being a tour guide, there's a process to become a certified tour guide. You don't just set up a website. Yeah, exactly.
Wait,
So,
there are some people
obviously
who do
there
that.
are, but I'm saying you didn't do that, right?
No.
So just talk us
I
through
started off because I had the knowledge. So I started off initially as an unqualified tour guide.
Yeah.
But I wanted to become professionally qualified. I always wanted to say that one step ahead, if you like.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I, but there is I experienced Islamophobia as
No
well
way.
on the course.
In what way?
By certain people, other students, if you like, coming out with certain statements and stuff like that.
Do you want us to go sort them out,
whenever
bro?
we,
Do you want us to go sort them out?
no, it's not fine.
Are you sure, bro?
But it wasn't that; it was the public as well.
I'll bang them up, bro. Straight.
Even what I experienced as well at certain locations, if you like.
Give me an example, bro.
For
Let's just
example,
be open, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Lincoln's Inn has a portrait of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Who?
Lincoln's Inn is a law school
Right.
in near Holborn, you could say. They have a portrait, full representation of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi
Well, with
Wasallam in the
everything.
Great Hall. Yes, it's to do with the lawgivers, one of the lawgivers, and I went down there to take a look, try to look at it or whatever. But then the security guards decided to jump me.
What?
After I took a picture of the security guard, and
Why'd you take a picture of security guard?
because the way he was conducting
Oh,
himself.
right.
And but little did I know, what had happened in behind the scenes, if you like. They made contact with the tour guiding association because that day I just had my badge with me, and I kind of just showed it in terms of trying to
Deflate the situation.
not deflate, diffuse the situation.
Diffuse, yeah.
And but I shouldn't have done that, to identify myself, to be honest. Should have picked up something else, but it did happen. And then they made contact with the tour guiding association, the law school this is, and because what I had done, I had made mention of the person's name on my Facebook page, and I exposed him,
Which person?
the guy
security
who
guard.
attacked me.
Right.
And they said to the head of the tour guiding association, you tell him to take it off, or our agreement with tour guides in terms of allowing tour guides to come on site will be called into question. So that's what happened. They ganged up upon me. And, they even claimed to the police that there was no pictures or CCTV. But that turned out to be a lie because I managed to get hold of the pictures as well. So you had that happened as well. That was definitely Islamophobia. And what was revealed to me was that it slipped out by the main guy, who was actually an ex-chief superintendent as well, the Tour Guide Association head, was that the reason why the security guards asked Facebook to remove the post because he was ex-army and I could be linked up to Islamic radicals. That's what he said.
Wow.
So then it was the Tour Guiding Association demanded me to take down the post. And I didn't, initially.
Jeez.
Did you get the spud?
Yeah, I did, bro.
Explode. Hadouken. And also,
You dizzy,
no
bro.
one ramps with AbdulMaalik Tailor, bro.
But the thing is, I remember even on Iman channel, they had a program, company, it was an educational show. They were interviewing a barrister who qualified from Lincoln's Inn. So I thought, let me ask him a different question.
So you were there?
No, this is something some random brother who was a barrister who kind of like came out of the Lincoln's Inn school, law school. I was asked, since you were there, is it true what people say that there is a portrait of the full representation of Prophet Muhammad? And he kind of laughed it off.
Did you get tasered after that one?
No.
It reminds me of that guy that asked George Bush, is it true? Have you seen that? Have you heard that one? Guy goes, is it true you're part of the skull and crossbones society? And then they just taser him. My question is, did you go in with that hat?
No.
Because I think that hat diffuses any situation.
No,
bro.
this hat actually, when I became a tour guide, I always wanted to be identified as a Muslim tour guide. Yeah. Sometimes what happens is that tour guides themselves dress up. It's all part of their uniform, you could say. Yeah. And I thought initially of wearing maybe like the Moorish type of outfit, like Shavak Amir's big turban and plastic sword or whatever. Yeah. I thought that'd be a bit too flamboyant down central London, etc. And then I thought it had to be the Fez hat.
Yeah.
This was the headdress of the Victorian male Muslims during the time, also the allegiance to the Ottomans as well. And I thought it has to be this.
I know you've got the perfect head for it as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I've tried. Can I try it on? Can I try it on live? Do you mind?
Perfect.
Let me try it on.
MashaAllah.
Just get my hair out my face.
You looking to get married again?
Nah, bruv. Never. I'm happily married. What do you reckon, guys?
Nah, he can pull it off better, bro. What do you reckon? Yeah. Do that spinny thing, bro. You know that?
He does look like the Turkish guys on the desserts.
Which ones?
They're like Hafiz Mustafa.
Yeah.
The what?
1864.
What do you reckon, bro? Can I pull it off?
I could do. Just get your own face hat, though.
Yeah, I should. This is too. Is it too bit small?
No, it's fine.
I think the red brings out my cheeks, man.
It's a nice hat, though, bro.
I love it. Jazakallah, bro.
Okay, for you.
He's gonna go bleach it when he gets home, bro. So, talk us through. Do you know the history of the Fez hat? What?
It was adopted by the Ottomans from Abdul-Majid I. He wanted to what they call modernization.
Who's Abdul-Majid I? Sorry,
Sultan Abdul-Majid.
Right, and he just thought, you know what,
get rid of the turbans and go to the Fez hat.
But I want to know, like, what the design process was. Did he say to him, listen, get at that bowl, cut a circle and just stick that thing on, or did he just come out of it?
Initially, it was only a part of society, you could say.
It was already part of society.
Certain parts of society.
Okay, right.
And then it gradually expanded to the rest of society, you could say.
So that started in Turkey,
The whole part of it was to get rid of the turbans and look more modernized in terms of like a European type of outfit, you could say.
Yeah.
Because, back then they were in big, massive turbans. And even if you go into the city of London, there are particular sites where you find images of Turks with the big turbans as well that have been hidden away there that people don't know.
But is it true that I read somewhere that there was a time where the Muslims were emulated with regards to fashion? It was seen that if you wore robes and it was almost like going to, I don't know, London Fashion Week or whatever. They'd go to I don't know.
There were different times in history where non-Muslims would actually be dressed in Muslim clothing.
Like in Harry Potter, what's his name? Dumbledore.
I have no idea who you're talking
I'll
about.
bring up Dumbledore, bro. Tell me this guy's not wearing a qamis, bro. And he's wearing a fez as well, but he's got a bit more glitter on it.
Is
bro.
it the guy with the white beard?
Yeah, him. Bring him up, man. Come on, bro.
Jeez.
He looks like he's ready for Jummah, bro.
The hat as well.
Look at the hat as well, man. Come on.
But in Europe, in the past, people were dressing in longer garments.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So not everything was Muslim clothing. You could say.
Of course, yeah.
And but you know, there are certain things which were trendy at particular times, like bloomers they call it. But these were
What's bloomers, bro?
knickerbockers, you could say.
No. Is that trousers like?
Trousers, yeah, knickerbockers, you could say, like sometimes underwear, you could say.
Right.
But that came from somebody called Bloomers, but she was, if I remember correctly, American she was. But in terms of origin, it was like from Muslim clothing
Right.
itself. You know,
So
there's
adapted.
even, like, yeah, but in origin, it was effectively Muslim
Right.
clothing.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of conversation with regards to niqab, whether it should be banned in Britain or not, but people don't speak about the veil that does exist in English culture. That has existed there for about 1,000 years, and that's the bridal veil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, this was a practice which the Crusaders brought back from the Middle East.
No way.
Yeah, they borrowed it or stole it, I should say. And, you know, that was something else. But that whole concept of the bridal veil doesn't get spoken about, which was predominantly through English history done by the English woman, the English non-Muslim woman. That's not part of the conversation. You know, now it's accepted as a norm to wear niqab, you could say.
Yeah.
You
Can
know,
I ask you a
face
question? Because we didn't get into that whole. Yeah, there's a face mask. Exactly. Yeah. We didn't get into the whole you being inducted to the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Bring up the video. Bring up the picture. In my eyes, you know, when you said to me, there's like a tour guides association. That's kind of like what came into my head, bro.
These guys, right?
But each one of them has got like a superpower, bro.
He looks like a murmur, to be honest.
Oh, what? Sorry.
A murmur.
What's a murmur?
Murmur was actually a character which was as a form of Victorian entertainment, you could say.
Right.
And he would be a Muslim, effectively.
Okay.
And fighting...
He's a protagonist, basically.
he was
Not
fighting
protagonist, sorry.
George.
Who's
George, the patron saint of England.
Okay.
And,
King George, who's also a Turk, by the way.
Not King George.
Sorry.
From off track now.
Sorry, AbdulMaalik.
George the Dragon. George and the Dragon.
Yeah.
He was supposed to have fought him. He's actually England's most famous immigrant because he was half Turk and half Palestinian. And this Muslim character is supposed to have had battles with him as well. So that's what kind of get dramatized back in the past. But then if you go to Philly in Philadelphia, in America, they have museums celebrating the murmurs. They have their marches, etc., whatever. People don't realize that they're actually Muslims within, Muslim characters within them.
Crazy.
As well. Some people suggested that that's how Morris dancing kind of came out of them as well.
Oh, okay.
So that's something
Can you
there.
Google murmurs, please? How do you spell it?
MUM ER. Sorry, double MER. Murmurs. And then, yeah, as I said, museums. Yeah, even in Acton, I managed to find a locality where they were having their drama as well.
That's sick. Is it similar to what the Spanish do? They do these like reenactments every year.
Yeah. Except in fact, it's kind of like died down in UK. It has. Although there are some parts where it's still dramatized, you could say.
So what's the purpose of these? Is it to demonize?
Entertainment. Well, now it's entertainment, you could say.
Yeah.
Back in the past, it was to demonize as well as, you know, the Muslims. Anyone who was the enemy of the English people was to demonize. You know, and Philly itself has a large Muslim community.
Yes, it's one of the
but
largest.
they don't know about the Muslim connection to do with them. Okay, I thought there was something else there.
But they got Batman there though, and Joker.
So it's like for example, the Mameluke. You know that the derogatory term Mameluke.
Yeah.
If you ever watch any Italian mafia films. So if you're being an idiot, you stop being a Mameluke, or that guy's a Mameluke. Comes from the word Mameluke.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know this. But, they would dress in bright colors, right?
Yeah.
And Mamelukes, who were the Mamelukes?
What do you remember of them?
So, okay, he's going to test me now. Were they Caucasian slaves from, I guess, technically Chechnya, right? And that the Caucasus Mountains.
He's not
But
amused.
I'm not there, am I?
He's not happy.
Look it
bro.
up. That's your homework.
Allow me, man. Am I there though? Am I there?
Yeah, I'm not giving you any homework here, have I? That's something I do on the tours as well, isn't
Okay,
it?
but am
So
I there yet though? I'm completely wrong in it.
you might be heading in the right direction. Might not be. That's your homework, though, isn't it? That's
Okay,
fair,
I'm
isn't
gonna check it. I thought I knew. Now he's made me doubt myself. All right, I'll check it. Inshallah. But then these guys are not gonna know, innit?
it? Well, you could tell them part 2.
All right, fellas. Next episode, if I remember, I'll bring it up, inshallah. So yeah,
Well, I mean, yeah, as I said, the whole topic about Muslim history,
Yeah.
especially in Britain, you can go on for days and days. I mean, I could even do a tour from West London, from Acton. Acton would take me 3 hours. Into Shepherd's Bush would take another 4 hours. Then into Holland Park. Sultan Abdulaziz, who came to Britain in 1867, he visited Holland Park. People don't know about that. You have Allama Muhammad Iqbal, the famous poet from the Indian subcontinent. He used to live in Holland Park, Shepherd's Bush as well. People don't know that. Guru, the guy who translated Guru Nanak into the English language, and he had a Muslim servant. Again, Shepherd's Bush, Holland Park. Marmaduke Pickthall, born in where? Same location,
Holland
Park. But yet we don't know about this. And then you
What's
also have
going
some modern day types of stories as well. There is, for example, you may recall a few years ago that there was a niqabi sister who had who tried to attended a parents' evening at Holland Park School as well, and she wanted to sue the school as well. So that in itself is history, as far as I'm concerned.
Why?
The school prevented her from wearing the niqab in the school that her daughter was wishing to attend when she went for parents' evening, and she asked to see the policy. There was no such policy, and she's a niqabi for many years, and she did look to sue the school as well for that.
Did she win?
No, she didn't take it to a court because it could have set a precedence in terms of the whole issue to niqab in schools.
Yeah.
So there's that. But then, there's another niqabi as well when it comes to looking at Kensington Town Hall, RBKC, London Borough, the town hall there. She said that she was ridiculed by the former mayor.
Of what?
Of RBKC Borough. And which completely shook her. And she was caught, by other members of staff. And they recorded it as well of what this person was actually French origin. She was the mayor of the borough, calling her basically something along the lines of like, in terms of rearing your children to become terrorists. Yeah. And she was completely taken back by that. So you have that story. That's probably now, I think, about 4 years old. So you have some recent history as well that gets covered as well. Yeah. But, even from there, you can go slightly further down into the rooftop gardens in Kensington that do exist, that have been inspired by, how can we say it, Moorish or Islamic gardens, basically. That's what it turns out to be on the rooftop. But who knows about them?
Yeah.
You go further in, then you're into, you're into Hyde Park. You have also the Moroccan ambassador who was hunting in Hyde Park. You have the exhibitions that took place around there as well. You have the stuffed Indian elephant that was used from a circus that took place there as well.
That's
but,
amazing.
Then you go more further in. Then you're into almost Green Park. The Ottoman Museum that used to exist in the 1850s, where Hard Rock Cafe is now. Who knows about that Ottoman Museum? The original waxworks, as they say. Then you can go into Piccadilly Circus. What's the Muslim connections there? The film called The Message?
Yeah.
It was had its world premiere in 1976. That was showing there as well. Then you can go into Leicester Square as well. That's where that mega mosque used to exist during the Victorian time as well. Although slightly until it got burned down again in the 1930s. But that building looked like a mega mosque, but it was Alhambra Theatre. So a whole locality of central London can take about 5 to 6 hours.
Why did it get burnt down?
It was just one of those things that happened.
Oh, it was an accident,
so to say. Yeah.
Right.
But from the outside, it looked exactly like a masjid, with the dome, with the minarets, with the crescent at the top. What about the Muslim connections to Trafalgar Square? Just to add, actually, I've been approached by the mayor's office for Eid in the Square that's going to take place on Saturday, the 7th of May. And I'm going to be running some free tours looking at the Muslim connections to do with Trafalgar Square as well. And there's more than 5 Muslim connections to do with Trafalgar Square. You have then, you can have down the Strand, you can have into the City of London. That itself can take more than 1 week. People just don't realize how much Muslim history we have.
That's crazy, man.
Ottomans in Britain, again, that's first time I ran it was about 3.5 hours. Who would imagine you have Ottoman history in Britain? That, in fact, this year, inshallah, I'm going to be running a special sightseeing bus tour as well, looking at Ottoman history in London.
Sign me up, bro. I'm there. You got your first...
You're paying, yeah?
Yeah, 100%, bro. Come on.
I didn't hear that part until last.
No, I'm going to pay,
that's
bro.
£60 already, bro.
Bro, how much is it going to be?
I haven't worked out the final
Okay, when you
price.
work it out, I promise you, you've got my... I'll bring my kids as well, inshallah. Do you see what I'm saying?
Is that 3 for 1 is, I think?
No. Listen, I'll pay full price, bro. So for me, I think you touched on something there. Yeah?
But how much do you think a normal sightseeing bus tour
I don't
costs
know,
for an
bro.
adult?
I have no idea. 60 quid a day or something. I don't know.
A trip that's pre-recorded without live commentary that's run by sightseeing bus companies in London.
What,
It's about
those,
£37 plus.
the hop on, hop off.
Yeah, £37 plus.
But that's nothing though.
Yeah, but you're not even getting a person that's telling you. You just put those headphones on.
I'm saying to you, like, what?
And
You,
I mean, when
I-
I set up my one, I went on them to listen to the commentary and find out how they were doing it, and I realized that the commentary they were push button for the different locations were totally mucked up.
Yeah.
can I say something, AbdulMaalik? Something, because I'm involved in business. Yeah, we're me and Zach are entrepreneurs. We've got businesses, and I think this is something that when I speak to Muslim, people who's got businesses and stuff like that, and even the customers. And I think and I wanted to do a whole podcast on this, yeah? And I think, number one, it's our responsibility as business owners, yeah, to provide the best product we can. That's number one, yeah? Not, because some of us have this mentality of, because I'm Muslim, because I'm black, because I'm Asian, because I'm whatever, you owe me to buy my product or buy my service, yeah? So that,
I know what you mean.
I know you don't do that, but I'm saying there's a lot of people.
And I organize events as well.
Yeah,
And if you look at the vast majority of Muslim events, there's always charities involved.
yeah,
Where sometimes the event organizers don't even reveal there's going to be a fundraiser.
yeah.
And I think that's basically haram to say that
Yeah.
in terms of advertising.
Yeah.
You're not revealing everything how it's supposed to be
Yeah.
done. But I don't team up with charities. I have in the beginning had brand awareness, but no fundraising took place.
But what I'm saying,
I'm
saying, AbdulMaalik, is this, yeah? What I was trying to say is, so like you're going out your way. You went and got your certification. For how many years of experience? 15 years, you said, of studying. More than that, probably.
It's more than that.
Way more than that. Yeah. How many years?
More than 20 years.
More than 20 years of experience. Yeah. You're bringing something to the market which is very unique. Yeah. Now, for me, you're not selling your time. That's what you have to. That's what I always tell my customers. It's what value are you bringing, and that value that has to be translated into customers. Now you look. So when you're selling your product or when you're selling your service, you look for those people that value your service. Yeah. If they don't value it, then they're not your customers, bro.
Absolutely.
This is how it is. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, as a customer, when I see something good, I pay for it.
Alhamdulillah.
That's just how it is, because for me, like, I would love to take my kids out on a day trip. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, because it's an enriched experience. Yeah. Do you understand? You're learning about, number one, you're learning about Islamic history. Number two, you're learning about British history. Number three, you're changing your worldview completely and your connection to this country, which we've been consistently told that we don't want to integrate. If you read the Daily Mail, we don't want to integrate. We all scrounge off the benefits. We take people's jobs and do them simultaneously. We take benefits and take people's jobs at the same time. I don't know how this works, yeah? We're all these things, yeah? But we don't see us. We don't have value, our contribution. You just said it. You said that this whole thing about Muslim world it was brought on by the Crusaders of othering us, yeah? When in fact, we were involved in Europe. I say involved, we are Europe. Before Europe was even Europe, right? You said what, the first involvement of Muslims in England was 100, how many years? 125?
141 years.
141 years after the Prophet passed away. Now, and then you take and I'm sure there's many, many more things that we can prove. So I want to end on this, AbdulMaalik, and I've taken a lot of your time. I feel like I have to pay you after this one, bro. I've taken a lot of benefit from it, yeah? So can you just talk us a little bit about how, because this is important for whoever wants to, who should, yeah, go and actually take part in what you're doing. I think anyone who's listening, this is a direct invitation, is that take some time out, go onto the Muslim Hospital's website. What's it called?
halaltourismbritain.com.
Halal
Tourism
Britain.com. Yeah, link will be in this. If you're listening to it, it'll be in the show notes. And if you're watching it, it's going to be on the YouTube description. Yeah, go on there. Do us a favor. Instead of going to the shisha lounge, yeah, or doing, I don't know, going out to eat for the 400th time that month, spend that money and go and educate yourself and your family about. And I promise you'll learn something, and you'll benefit from it. And for me, like I said, first, when that bus tour is out, because I don't like walking, that bus tour is life for me, bro. I've got knee injury in it, so I get mad inflammation in the knees. Yeah. Okay. But inshallah, once it gets better, I'll definitely do the walking tour. 100%.
He gives wheelchairs, by the way.
Oh, you do wheelchairs, yeah? It's like, no.
I have had wheelchair users.
No, I'm not wheelchair user.
There's a black taxi tour as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
No, but again, if it's good weather, it's even better, bro. Yeah? Which is few and far between in these type of times. Yeah. So if you just describe to us what the process of you becoming a walking tour, what does that look like? Becoming the host, how did you become a tour guide, professional tour guide? Okay. What kind of certification, what kind of exam, if there's any exams or whatever it is?
First of all, you have to apply to the Tour Guiding Association, and they will look at your application form, and then you'll be invited to an interview, and in that interview, you'll have to give a presentation.
Right.
One of the questions in terms of the application you'll be asked is, why do you want to become a tour guide? And in my one, I actually made mention about a Muslim location and about a blue plaque given to a Muslim as well. And so I was asked to speak about that point, expand upon what I actually made mention about.
Can you just tell us what it looks like, the interview? So where'd you go? Is it like this old Victorian building?
Oh, no. This was just in a cafe, it was, believe it or not.
Okay. In my head, in my head, what I thought it's like
some sort of institution.
It's like wooden panels and like Phineas Fogg type situation.
No, it's very
around the world in 80 days.
It was. Informal.
Okay, right.
In this case, yeah. So had the interview, but they did reveal to me, because we were shocked, because we've never had a Muslim applicant before.
Never.
Because when we saw your name, we were like, hey, what's happened here?
That's crazy.
So they did say, that's when they told me that I was the first Muslim applicant. I was like, is it? Okay. I didn't know that. But then I was interviewed. They asked me certain questions, this, that, whatever, and said they're happy to have me on the course. So I did say to them, look, I have prayer times, especially Salat al-Maghrib.
Of course, yeah.
I knew if I could take I would have to pray at that time. I said, look, after the third week, there's no problem then, because it's before Maghrib will come in before the starting time, and so that's what happened.
And how long is the course?
It was for 1 year.
Wow,
1 year.
How many hours are we looking at?
It's on a part-time basis, so it was. And it was, we had one evening a week, as well as it was alternative Saturdays and Sundays as well. And that's when we'll be out on the streets.
Do you ever do exercise like related to walking and stuff?
Not really, but we did it's probably wrong to say that. We did do exercise in terms of how to breathe.
Seriously?
Yes. That's we had one session about that.
But like almost like singing, so to get your voice, one
of the things in order to get your voice.
That was meant to be a
projecting,
joke, by the way, and he just called my blow. So okay, that's a kind of because I know this
to project your voice.
Yes. Okay, interesting.
Another part could be if you speak a lot, you may end up having spit coming out your mouth. So how do you actually, alleviate that one as well?
So. Do you mind? What was the kind of exercise you did?
It was exercising just to kind of make ourselves more relaxed. It's like, for example, actors.
Like me, like
when
that.
they go on stage, they have to train their mouth, basically.
Yeah.
So they'll be stretching exercises.
I think I need to do it before the podcast, bro. After the podcast, just give me a few exercises to run through before I start.
Okay.
Inshallah. No, I'm being serious, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you can just open your mouth, close it. Now say A'udhu Billah.
A'udhu Billah.
Say it again.
He's trolling me, you know that?
Yes,
Are you trolling me?
I am. I was trying to pick out your mistakes.
He trolled me, man. No, you got to hit him with the Larry David, bro.
Emotional.
No, not that one. This one. Okay, you can cut it out now, bro. All right. Oh, he trolled me. Thank you very much for that. That will make good viewing. All right. So you do the exercises.
Yep.
And because I remember I worked in Brick Lane and I used to see them, and their voices, because it has to come from a diaphragm.
Yes. To
kind of make it kind of project over. I know we're making light of it, but you can get really bad sore throat and laryngitis and that type of stuff.
I mean, I know there are some tour guides do have some like tablets to help them in terms of the voice. I just traditionally carry water with me.
Right.
Well, that's most of what I would have.
Okay, so you kind of so what else do you cover? Is it
how
to research and stuff like that?
Yeah,
or?
we covered research. We also look at buildings,
right?
Tour guiding skills as well,
right?
So, for example, how do you guide a group? People think you can just go from one place to another and that's it. No, it's tour guiding is a skill in itself. How you guide people. I mean, I've had a look at mosque as well as Hajj and Umrah guides, and I've not came across a single one of them that would actually pass the mark as a tour guide. And that's something I've actually done myself, is actually assessed other tour guides as well. And it was something that I think that mark does need to improve upon as well. Our Hajj and Umrah guides, as well as a mosque guides, they need to improve upon.
We should set a course.
Possibly, yeah. Just offer it for them for free. Then
no, not free. They got to pay, bro.
I know.
Got to pay, bro.
But I've said this to other organizations that organize events. I said, look, I'm happy for this to take place, but they don't get back.
Well, if you come up with a package, bro, how much is it going to cost? All this stuff, I'm sure that.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, how much are we investing in our mosque guides then?
What do you mean mosque guides?
People who actually showcase the masjid to outsiders. Right. For example, schools, local authorities, even the police, councillors. There's a whole structure to it. If you're going to one mosque to another mosque, what's the difference? In my experience, though, non-Muslims have said to me when I've given presentations about Muslim history of Britain, they said, this is wonderful. We've never heard this before. Because, as far as they're concerned, one mosque visit is just identical to another mosque visit.
Right.
I go, why is that? Because they never speak about the Muslim history of their organization or the locality or Britain. That's what makes the key difference here.
That makes sense.
And but how would you show where the minbar is? How do you actually show them when you're forward facing? Do you keep looking around? I mean, it's not moving, so why keep looking around at it? You're supposed to look at your audience and permanently keep eyes on your audience.
I feel very special right now, just you looking at me like this. I see the skills, bro. Black belt level, man.
Yeah, that's black belt level.
I need a horn for that, bro. I feel it. Do you know what I'm saying? No, but honestly, bro, like, can I tell you my experience?
Something else, just as a tip, as you're doing a podcast, the way you speak into a mic gets counted as well.
Is it? What do you reckon? What level would you give me?
It's like, do you talk directly to the mic, or is the mic to the side of your mouth?
I don't know. You tell me, bro.
You have been drifting off.
Have I?
Yeah, I've noticed that. If you don't mind me saying.
No, of course I don't
Especially when
mind.
you're looking at over there.
Yeah, because you hear this, innit?
Yeah.
I was doing that. So what should I do then?
The mic stays here in front
Okay.
of that.
And then
If
what do I
anything,
do?
you can do it that way. I'll bring it back.
There you have it, guys.
I really appreciate you.
Yeah,
Like,
bro.
a lot of our guests, they were
Says
like,
the guy who never speaks into the mic, who's actually not speaking to the mic at the moment.
"Come on."
Oh, he's not.
No, I'm not gonna lie. That
That's
radio voice, bro.
That's annoying.
No, that's good.
No, what? Like, so I should move it around, right?
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
close, bro.
Well, you can have a headset one. That's the other way around it.
Nah, man, I look like a douchebag, bro. Like those ones.
Yeah.
It kind of looks cool like this, bro. Do you know
That's the
what I'm
one gives the ultimate freedom.
saying? What, the one with the head?
Yeah, headpiece.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, man. What do you reckon? Sorry, what do you reckon, guys?
I love it, bro.
So this whole year, like, so you go through research.
Yeah. So then you have exams as well.
Okay, right.
Every term.
Yeah.
And every term. When I joined it, on term 1, I realized there was nothing about diversity.
Right.
So I raised it with the student rep. I said to them, look, there's nothing about Black and Asians here, which doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
They realized it had never been covered before. And then on term 3, whatever they had planned was changed into looking at diversity.
No way.
Yeah.
Trailblazer, bro. Salute.
Play a tune then. Go on. So
Trailblazer,
yeah,
bro.
so
No,
I
it's
managed to get
important,
that
though.
changed on the course.
Alhamdulillah, that's good.
But you know, we have an
What
exam.
changed though?
It was the content. We were looking at Black and Asian disability as well,
Right.
and females as well. Now, females were actually being covered, I should say, but it looks at homeless community as well. But we have a written exam. We also have a outdoor exam and an exam in a museum or gallery.
Right.
How you guide in a museum or gallery is different to how you guide outdoors. And there sometimes you can fail outdoors as well. You can fail indoors as well.
I've noticed as well, AbdulMaalik, when I went on my tour, the use of the hands.
There is that part.
Honestly, bro, like that's what I noticed. And my experience with that guide, you know, when you go on a tour, like you don't know what to expect. Do you see what I'm saying? But he captivated us the whole way. Like literally, like there was times when we were walking between. And that's what people
animated, you know,
very
use of the
animated.
eyes,
Yes,
etc.
yes,
If
exactly.
you're talking about like a mystery, your eyes, you know, makes it look suspicious, etc.
That's it, exactly. And he'd have this little thing that he'd stand on as well. So
Okay.
he'd have like he'd,
Podium, yeah.
podium, yeah. So he'd literally open it up, stand on it, and then he'll speak to us. But like I was mesmerized. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm really keen to take part in.
I know sometimes guys get their directions mixed up because when they're saying to your right,
because
they're
we're
pointing
facing
to the right,
yeah.
but then to the audience's right, it's the left, isn't it?
Yes,
So that's
yes,
why
yes,
sometimes the tour guys easy way around and say, look over there,
Right.
and look this way. That's easier as opposed to left and right. Otherwise you get mucked up, you do.
Sorry, I interrupted you. So once you do your exams, so what kind of, is it written exam? Or is it?
A written exam, it's an exam on the streets, it's an internal exam as well.
Yeah.
So there's three exams we had and got past each one. And there's also continual professional development as well.
Yeah, CPD. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how often do you do that? Is it once a year? Or?
Every so often when it's required, you could say.
And I'm guessing it's quite a lot of personal investment into it. Money wise, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you have to pay for the course as well.
You pay for the course. I'm sure you got to pay for
You
your
pay for the
membership
exams,
and the
pay for the
exam.
membership.
Yeah.
And this is when, even when I run the social media polls, I said, did you know that tour guides have to sit exams?
Yeah.
Vast majority said no.
So once you've sat the exam, you have to sit more exams afterwards.
No, once you pass them, you're
Oh,
okay.
You're done, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, alhamdulillah, that's good.
So there's
Unless
no
you wanted
boosters.
to do a further specific qualification. So, for example, looking at buildings and architecture. So there could be short courses about that.
Right,
So
right,
that's something you'll have to pay for. But that's more to do with the knowledge side.
Right, okay.
And some tour guys do that. But, can you imagine me speaking about Georgian houses to the Muslim community? I'll be
Yeah.
putting them to sleep.
Yeah. Fair
And
enough.
unless it's a specific Georgian house that has a Muslim connection to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the other tour guys do wonder, how come I get Black and Asian people and they don't?
Yeah.
And I think it's take a brain surgeon to work that out. It's the topics, what's being covered.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, generally, the rest of tour guides know that I only will cover Muslim heritage. Yes, I might overlap in Black and Asian history, but my specialism is looking at Muslim heritage within Britain. That's all I'm overwhelmingly concerned about.
And you said that, just to cap this off, so tell us what your future plans are, because I know you're looking to do some cruises. Oh, sorry, not cruises. What was it?
Well, no, I do run cruises already where you can have halal food cruises on the River Thames.
Yeah.
On Sunday, the 15th of May, it's going to be an Eid buffet brunch cruise.
Right.
So that's going to be about 3 hours on the River Thames.
That's wicked, man.
Brothers, are just, I get the intention. It's related to food,
Yeah, 100%. Make note of it. There's going to be food available, man.
Buffet. So there is that. But I can actually do a sightseeing guided tour on the River Thames for 3 hours as well. That's something else.
And if someone wants to book you privately, you can do that
happen
as well.
Yes.
And that's all
have
through the
private
website.
bookings. Yep. Or sometimes people do email in info@halaltourismbritain.com, asking what they wish to have and to see what can be done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's a live booking system online so that they can just go straight there and do the booking. Also, what you find is that organizations who want to do the sightseeing tour bus or the cruise on the River Thames, that can be done as well as a private booking. If they're elderly people, we can do the Black London Camp tour as well, so it's less walking. Yeah. I say if you want to get the maximum, if you want to maximize the experience, it's the walking tours.
Right.
Because there you're experiencing where it took place and what's around you, the surroundings and everything.
And what's your busiest periods?
Summertime.
Summertime.
Yeah, it is summertime. But I have to say, the past few months have actually been busy as well.
Alhamdulillah. And do you do this full time now?
Full time. This is not a hobby.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me, do I do this full time?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I said, yes, it's not a hobby. I don't do it part time, etc. But it's the fact that I have different experiences. And sometimes what I could do is do online presentations as well.
Okay.
So if I've got like somebody in a different country who want me to do a presentation for them, I can do that online. Or if schools are up in Yorkshire, for example, I could do an online presentation to them without even having to go to them.
So I know you do travel though, don't you?
I do,
like,
yes.
Yeah. You said you were just like Liverpool.
Yeah. There was a tour there to do Abdul, who was the English chap who opened up England's first mosque. Yeah. That was actually being run by somebody else called Yahya Burt. And I did speak to him prior to him. He got some tips off me. I didn't tell him that I was going to be attending, so he was shocked when he saw me there. But yeah, so there is that took place in Liverpool. We went round by coach and had a guided hop off as well. Yeah. And then we went into the mosque, and there was a mini tour there as well, continuation of Abdul and the mosque. And then we finished off the evening at a restaurant as well. And then I came back to London the following day. I was at Windsor, and Sunday, Monday, Windsor as well.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. So even Windsor Castle, for example, what makes Windsor famous.
Yeah.
A Muslim tour can take place there as well. And you'd be shocked at what's contained there. Did you know in Windsor Castle they have a piece of the Kaaba cloth?
No way.
Yeah.
How?
It's on display. It was gifted to Queen Victoria.
Wow, that old, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. That's news to me, bro.
Yeah. That's one hidden gem. There are many other hidden gems to do with Muslims. Some which were stolen, some which were gifted as well. I mean, they've got cannons from Indonesia. This Kaaba cloth was the Egyptian ruler at that time. Yeah.
Okay. AbdulMaalik, I could talk to you for another 2 hours, bro. But this has been amazing. And we said we're not going to cut anything from here.
Okay.
Unless you tell us to, bro. But there's nothing that we don't need to cut out. But is there anything you want to tell the viewers or the listeners about what you got going on? I know we spoke a lot about it, but is there anything you want to leave them with?
In terms of closing words, I would like to say to the listeners or the viewers, folks, we have Muslim history everywhere in Britain. Just as like you have it most places around the world. Don't think our history is just in the Middle East, the Ottomans, or Muslim Spain. It's high time we took ownership of our history in Britain. Learn your history in Britain, before other people keep telling you what your history is. You know, reclaim that narrative, please. And it's not just about your kids, it's about yourselves as well. We have been programmed to believe in certain terminology. Let's drop that terminology. And, you know, the stories we have here, there are so many inspiring stories as well. And I remember last Friday, we had a group from a class from Al Khair School in South London. And, you know, I think there was about 20, 30 of them. And they said, we just didn't know nothing about Muslim history in Britain. We knew a little bit about Muslim Spain. Yeah, Ottomans as well. But, you know, the message that came back, I'll probably just read it to you, to be fair, so I'm not lying, as they say. What the message was, the feedback from the teacher. It was, I've received amazing feedback from the students who felt super empowered and learnt a lot. They said we should be learning more about the contribution of Muslims in UK. And so Jazakallah khair, I will definitely be organising one in the summer for the whole school. So this is the group here. Even the teachers who came on it, they were like taken back as well.
It's important, man.
Absolutely.
Well, I just want to thank you for all your hard work. I know you've been plugging away at this for a few years, man. And inshallah, that the fruits of your labour will. I'm sure you're enjoying it now.
Yeah. One thing I would like to say, if there's any mosque out there, please make a sightseeing mosque booking. Sightseeing bus tour, mosque booking. I've only ever had 2 mosques book me out. There's about 460 odd mosques in London. That's quite shocking, days.
Why do you think that it hasn't happened?
They just
have you reached out?
I have, yeah.
And they're just not interested.
Not interested for some reason. Which I find quite shocking. Like you know, you're teaching the children, the future leaders as well.
So what would
or family? You can make it as a family trip as well.
So what would that consist of?
A sightseeing bus tour. We can come and pick up your group from the masjid.
Yeah.
And return you back as well.
I see what you're saying.
We have the tour around London.
Right, and bring them back to the masjid.
Yeah. So you're not. So you think about, you make that saving. You're not. You don't. You know, the Oyster card, what, £8 or £9 into London and back. You save on that as well.
Yeah. That makes sense.
That's highly competitive rate, then, as I say.
Thank you very much. All the details will be in the description box, and inshallah, once the website is developed, we're gonna have you on there, featured on there. Inshallah, have all your links on there. Inshallah.
No problem.
So hopefully, in the next few weeks. And to everyone at home, thank you. If you've made it to the end, like and subscribe. Don't be a scumbag. Okay. If you've watched this video, seriously, if you're watching this video and you've never subscribed, you've never liked. You know, this is free content. All we ask is that you subscribe and like. Come on. Be a good guy / person. Okay? So I'll see you in the next one.